Welcome to TYT Sports. Jason Rubin here with you, and we're going to be joined just in a minute by Taylor Jones. If you remember Taylor back last season for the NFL playoffs, he gave in some wonderful insight from everything from defensive breakdowns, offensive breakdowns, and what went right, what went wrong for certain teams, including their runs to the Super Bowl, and of course, what happened in the games themselves. So we're going to start off with the Chiefs and the Texans. A 30-0 victory for the Chiefs. They'll move on to face the New England Patriots. And really, when you look at that game from the scoring breakdown, we'll run you through that. 11 seconds in, the Chiefs are up 7-0 after Niall Davis returns a 106-yard kickoff return. A couple Santos field goals later take us to the half, 13-0. Chris Conley receives a 9-yard pass from Alex Smith, 20-0. Spencer Ware with a 5-yard run, and then Santos another field goal. It was a 30-0 rout over the Texans in Houston. So, Taylor, first off, great to have you back on. We're excited to get into this. And when we were going back and forth yesterday, you mentioned that KC really had a great game plan to scheme around J.J. Watt, and they executed that well. Could you go into a little more detail as to what they did to make that happen?
Yeah, so, the typical coaching philosophy is you try to run power at speed and then run away from strength. But J.J. Watt is all of the above, right? So you can't pick one over the other. So what they did, and they broke it down pretty well during the game, but they ran jet sweeps, they ran traps, they ran quick screens. And I'll tell you, as a former defensive player myself, there's nothing more frustrating than a quick screen or a pop pass just behind the line of scrimmage and then having to run sideline to sideline rather than getting into the backfield. As a player, that's frustrating. And I think they did that successfully with J.J. Watt. He didn't have a single quarterback hit. He finished the game with one tackle, but other than that, he didn't even touch the quarterback, and I thought that was amazing.
And after the 4 interceptions of Brian Hoyer, I think DeAndre Hopkins finished with more tackles than J.J. Watt did by the end of that game. So that's obviously wasn't a good thing for Houston. And hindsight is 20/20. When we talk about these games in retrospect, it's not surprising when you see the scoreline being 30-0 in the Chiefs' favor. But that was a major concern that we were discussing here in TYT Sports over the last week was, what's going to happen with the defenses of both these teams. If they can stop J.J. Watt, well, he really is the focal point, the anchor of that defensive line. So to stick with the Houston Texans just for one more, you also mentioned that Bill O'Brien and his reluctance, you mentioned, to bench Hoyer after the second interception, which followed a J.J. Watt a play that he was playing kind of like the Wildcat formation. He tried to run it in from about 2 yards out. What was the thinking in that play call?
Well, let's just peel back the onion a little bit. I mean, we're talking about a Kansas City team who had 5 takeaways and only had 6 points off of those takeaways. Mm-hmm. So had they had any sort of competent play from their quarterback, they might have had a chance to be in this game. And you refer to the J.J. Watt Wildcat play on the goal line. That's a first down call in a 2-score game. If they score there, we're talking about a whole different ballgame, even with all the turnovers that Hoyer had thrown. Mm-hmm. So if you look back at the last couple of games of the regular season with Hoyer being out and then Brandon Weeden coming in, a lot of the analysts were saying, well, he wasn't with the offense long enough to be trusted in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? It can't get any worse than what Hoyer was putting out there on the field. So why not give Weeden a shot? And like I said, with Watt playing in that Wildcat formation, it was almost desperate by Bill O'Brien. He was like, I've got to do something because I don't trust my quarterback, particularly here in the red zone when the windows are tight, but I'm still reluctant to go to the next guy because I don't trust him even more. I think that was telling in this game. And you go back to the week 1 benching of Brian Hoyer, and Bill O'Brien has been on record saying that was a mistake. And that was probably in the back of his mind. But in my opinion, those are completely different situations. You worked all offseason leading up to that week 1 game to only give Brian Hoyer 2 quarters of play, and then you pull the plug on him. Well, to me, this game is different. I mean, there is no tomorrow. There's no confidence that you're going to tear down. There's probably no future with Brian Hoyer anyway. I say you pull the kid, put Brandon Weeden in, it couldn't have been any worse.
Right. I agree with you 100% on that one, too. So let's move forward to the Chiefs, because obviously a lot of things went right for the Chiefs in this game. Notably, their secondary was very effective, and not just that. We can get into Justin Houston, Dontari Poe. They really were everywhere in that game. Peters had a great interception. Eric Berry, which is a great story, obviously overcoming cancer early in his career, to get that kind of moment for him was nice to see. Very heartwarming in that aspect. But for the Chiefs, they did lose Jeremy Maclin. It looks like he will be out next week, and that's going to be a major blow because while the Chiefs' defense is notable, and they have just ripped off an 11-game winning streak heading into New England, something to be noted, it's going to be tough without any kind of major weapon outside of Travis Kelce, who obviously had a hell of a day, 73 yards after the catch, really helping out Alex Smith down the line. What do you think going forward, even after this win, as you mentioned, is going to happen with them? We wanted to talk about the Cinderella aspect of this team. We saw just what happened with the Texans. The Patriots are different. They're not the Texans. Different game plan. How do you think they work that out?
Well, I mean, let's face it. We're talking about a defense that just came off a game against Brian Hoyer and now is prepping for a Tom Brady. Tom Brady's got 3 Super Bowl MVPs. I don't think that's a fair comparison. Yes, I think you can take a lot of what Kansas City did against Houston and say, great job. Their 4 picks, I don't even think they had to work for. They were just thrown right to them. If I'm Andy Reid, I throw the game tape out the window. I don't even let the team look at it. We go on, we focus on what New England's going to do. And quite frankly, I think Kansas City's front 7 on defense can have a similar impact in this game. We're talking Tamba Ali, D Ford, Justin Houston, Dontari Poe, all those guys, particularly because New England's beat up along the offensive line. They're beat up everywhere, but especially on the offensive line. But still, at the end of the day, you could play lights out, but Tom Brady's going to get his. So you at least have to get 21 points, in my opinion, to be competitive against Tom Brady. So the defense, while they could play lights out, you're still going to have to get some sort of semblance from an offense. And without Jeremy Maclin, like you said, that's going to be tough. Now, again, in Alex Smith's favor, he didn't have to do anything in this game. So I think it was 190 yards on 17 to 22 passing attempts. Again, I think you throw all that aside. I don't think one relates to the next. But Alex Smith is going to have to make some plays in this game, and they're going to have to get something out of their running backs for them to have a chance. No question about it.
Yes, a whole different monster awaits for them in Foxborough. And you did mention Alex Smith, who was, according to ESPN's research notes, 8 of 9 in the play action against the Texans. So he really was working that aspect for it. It wasn't like the Chiefs were having the most amazing run game on that day.
Right.
I should say on Saturday. It really was more Alex Smith playing this competent, consistent Alex Smith type of game. I really don't have another way to put it.
Yeah, it's what he does, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's like you see it and you go, yeah, that looks like Alex Smith's line. He does 70% completion, 190 yards. Guys getting some yards after the catch, running the play action. So again, a whole different monster awaits for them in Foxborough. But Taylor, as always, thank you for joining us. We're excited for the game next week. It should be at least a little more interesting of a game. Hopefully not a 32-0 blowout when it comes down to the Patriots. Of course, a lot of storylines. Edelman is back. Gronk is back. They're getting a little bit healthier for as beat up as they've been all year long. I'm sure the line is going to favor New England in Foxborough, as you mentioned. 3 Super Bowl MVPs, couple playoff wins along the way. The Patriots are back, and they should be an interesting game as always. Taylor, like I said, thanks for joining us. Make sure to comment below, everybody. Let us know what you think about the Chiefs and the Texans, the game itself, and what do you think the Chiefs' chances are against New England next week. They play on Saturday or Sunday. Wish I had the actual answer for you guys. Regardless, like, favorite, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.